Hi, everyone. I am so excited because I have here with me just a powerhouse couple in the world of reselling. I have, oh, they wrote Hayley and Josh. And I was going to say Tornado. That's not your real last name. I'm sure people think it is. But Hayley and Josh, or Josh and Hayley, and you guys know them from the Harry Tornado Reselling channel. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Our pleasure.
You guys are awesome. I don't know if you guys know, but Josh and I go way back. I was watching his videos when they got like 100 views each, and I just thought he was so funny. And I was supposed to be like attending to kids in my study hall class, and instead I was watching this guy like talk about his dog and build furniture and stuff.
Right.
That's how far back it goes. I just wanted to start.
Oh. I'm so sorry. Mose is moving the camera.
He's trying to sabotage this interview. Mose, can you go lay down?
Okay.
We love you so much.
I don't know if he's sabotaging this video as much as this tuft of hair. You guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, like, I'm going to keep playing with this because I cannot with it right now. I'm so sorry that you have to look at this. Just look at that. No, that screen over there, and you don't have to deal with this mess. But between Mose and I, hopefully we'll get through this.
We got it. We got it.
So I want to start this maybe a little bit differently than other interviews have gone. Let me describe your timeline as it looks to me as an outsider, okay? The timeline of your guys' lives together. So this is what I know. Josh was working full-time for an insurance. You were selling insurance?
Mm-hmm.
I was an insurance underwriter when I started the channel. Yeah.
That's the word, underwriter. But you started reselling. You're also doing things like making furniture and stuff on the side. And at some point you got let go because your company was just doing like massive layoffs. So you decided, okay, this is the sign. I'm going to go all in. Hayley, you had a full-time job throughout all of this. I don't remember what your job was.
Yeah, so I worked for the county. I was the lab director for like water and wastewater. So we did like pH and like testing and make sure the water was clean and all of that.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, 1 being like, dear God, I don't like waking up in the morning to this. Like, how much did you enjoy that?
Maybe like a 3. I didn't really particularly like the field I was in. I liked like the learning aspect of it, and like my job required me to like constantly like look out of the box and like figure out like new ways to do my job. Like no one knew how to do my job. I basically like was my own boss kind of.
Yeah.
So that part was cool. I did not really enjoy working with water and wastewater though. So moved on to bigger and better things for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you had a full-time job, but eventually you were able to leave that and you're all in with your husband, which is amazing. And now, you know, you guys are reselling, which Hayley, I think you're doing a little bit more on that side of things so that Josh can focus on YouTube. And then it seems like you guys are getting into real estate and flipping houses and stuff like that.
Well, actually recently, we've both been doing a good bit of YouTube like together. I mean, the reselling has become less, I guess. We have like a helper that works for us now that she does like our shipping. She helps us with listing a good bit, but I've really enjoyed getting to like know how YouTube works. And like I've edited I've edited at least like 2 videos in the past couple weeks.
It's been like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
From beginning to end.
Yeah. There's one video I didn't even watch it at all. Hayley we filmed it and she took the footage and edited it and she's like, do you want to watch it? I was like, no, just post it.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. So if you ever want to edit like much less interesting videos, I'm here. I have a lot of content that you can do. Just letting you know. Okay. If you need just like much more boring content, I'm here for you. That's awesome. And you guys are raising the world's best dog, Mose, which we got to interact with him a little bit.
A little snapshot.
Having some behavioral issues at the moment.
That's all right. That's all right. Okay, then let's talk a little bit more about what's going on right now. Can you maybe just explain for us what a typical day in the life looks like for you guys?
Yeah, so we actually just posted a video that kind of like went along with that. It was, I don't know, for the last couple months, we've been trying to have our videos being like really well planned out with like titles and thumbnails beforehand and just trying to be more professional. And that works sometimes, but it's just a lot of extra work for videos that don't really perform a lot better than videos that we used to make where you just pick up the camera and go for it. So we attempted to do that this past Monday. And that was just shipping out some eBay orders. Kim wasn't working that day. We went to a couple of Goodwills. We did some errands, went to the post office, just kind of your basic boring reseller stuff. We just kind of stopped showing that on camera just because I thought it was boring. But that video is actually 1 of 10 right now. So I guess people like the boring stuff.
They do. I mean, it's like, I think they just want to feel like they're hanging out with you, and you two are fun. You're fun people to hang out with. People don't always want to be taught stuff, or, you know, just want to hang out. So that makes sense to me. Okay.
To be honest, like most of our day does not revolve around reselling anymore. I think that, I don't know, now the YouTube channel is bigger, and now we're trying to like kind of pivot our content into a little bit more of like maybe money making a little bit more, like with the house and all that. A lot of our day consists of like brainstorming new ideas, or like how can we go to the Goodwill bins and then figure out a way to like create this into a house video. So like a lot of it really isn't reselling, because our helper Kim will come in and do all the listing. We do whatnot shows pretty consistently, but she'll do the shipping for that too. So
yeah.
That's awesome. You can also send her my way if you aren't giving her enough work. Okay. I'm out here providing jobs for all the people. I just want you to know.
Right.
She's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. I need a Kim in my life. That's really cool. And I think it's interesting how much you guys have evolved. Like Josh, I mean, what is it, like 4 years ago now at this point that you started this journey? Could you have even in your wildest dreams imagined that this is the life that you'd be living right now?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I never even thought I'd be making money with YouTube at all. I thought YouTube was just going to be something fun to do. You know, I'd just be working at the insurance place forever. Because there's so many, it was like, it wasn't a bad place to work. Like on my rating, it was probably like a 7. You know, it was, you go there, you do your job, and you have a coffee room, and everybody just kind of, you know, does what they're supposed to do and goes home. So it was something that a lot of people worked there for a long time. One of the ladies that got laid off, she had been working there since she was like 20 years old.
Oh, gosh.
She was like 2 years away from retirement. So it was just,
yeah,
I don't know. Getting laid off was definitely the best thing that happened. But we never thought we'd have the type of success we have now, for sure.
And I mean, I think one of the things that, at least to me, stood out to you when you first started your channel, and we, you know, just were 2 small YouTubers like trying to make it and support one another. You just had so much fun. Like just, you know, you could tell as we watched you, like, this guy is having a blast and he thinks he's really funny, and therefore so do I. Like, you know, I'm like, yeah, like it was really fun to watch. You guys are still so much fun to watch, but I think at the beginning, that's what helped you take off. You know, it was just the sense of joy that you had behind the camera. Okay. We have an idea of what is going on today, and what you guys are doing on a daily basis, and kind of even a little bit like the direction that you guys are headed. But let's take it all the way back to the beginning now, because I want to kind of center this interview that and this time that we have together to talk about, you know, what is it like working with your partner? What is it like supporting one another? What did that journey look like? So can you tell us a little bit about like your guys' origin story? How'd you guys meet? All that good stuff.
We actually both met while working at Chick-fil-A, which was really cool. So like, I guess the first like part of Josh that I saw was his work ethic. And I think that's cool when you can like, you kind of see how people, I don't know, work and interact with people before you actually like, get to know them. And then I left for school. I went to Clemson, which is about 2 hours away from where we live. And we just started talking.
Yeah. Went from there. Long distance relationship for 3 years until she graduated. And then we got engaged right after that, and then got married like a year later.
Yep.
Do you still have fun? Like, do you have to stop at every Chick-fil-A you see because it brings back such like good memories?
Not every Chick-fil-A, but we're very
we do
fond
go
of
a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine.
So it's the only place you can go that's good every time. And that it's easy. It's relatively cheap. They're going to get your order right. They're going to be nice.
So Hayley, I'd love to hear from you. When Josh started filming YouTube videos and when he started reselling, what were your thoughts? What was it like for you at the beginning?
At the very beginning, well, the very beginning, it was more of like a hobby. And so like, I liked thrifting. I was actually the one that got him into thrifting, because like throughout college, like I got all my clothes at Goodwills and stuff just because it's fun, like finding things and you're like, oh, this is cute and it's only $4. So he kind of started it as like a side hustle. And and I really didn't pay a lot of attention to it. Like, I don't want to say I didn't care about it, but it was kind of like his thing and his passion. And I was like, yeah, do what you want to do. And so when he got laid off, we sat down and we were like, first off, you're like, what are we going to do? Like, you don't have your income. And we were like, let's give this 6 months. Cause it was, what was it?
August of 2019. Right. Yeah.
So you're like getting towards the Christmas season. And so we were like, okay, we're going to give it 6 months through Christmas. Cause he was making enough as like a side hustle to like support. I had a really good income. I just recently got a raise the week before. So we were like, okay, let's give this 6 months in. And then after 6 months, he was making really decent money, but it always, in the beginning, it was always like his thing. Like, you know, when you're married to somebody and they have a completely different career path than you, like you'll talk to them and interact with them about their job, but you're like, that's their thing, you know? And so like in my head in the beginning, like that's what it was. It was like, it's Josh's thing. It's how he makes money. It's really cool. He works from home and I have like my thing and we can talk about it, but like, that's all it was in the beginning.
Yeah.
She just saw like the junk coming in the door.
Yeah. It was a lot of junk too. It was just like,
really, Josh, another Goodwill bag.
Yes.
I felt, you know, the episode of The Office where Meredith, they go to Meredith's car and she opens it and all the stuff comes falling out. And they're like, Meredith, what? These are my valuables. They're my treasure. I'm going to sell them on eBay.
My valuables.
That was my car in our house.
Yeah, that was
for
our
like
house.
6 months.
Yes.
Yeah. But from the way you described it, Hayley, it sounds like you were supportive and you understood like this is something that he enjoys and we're going to let him try this for 6 months. And to some degree, I like that you put a timeline on it because it really kind of forced Josh to get his butt in gear. It was kind of like, this is make or break time. Like we don't have, you know, you can't mess around.
And I remember telling him like, cause at the time he got laid off, I kind of thought YouTube, I always like say his personality is much like a kid on like Christmas Day when you like open all of your presents and the kids are really, really excited about it. And then they play with it for like a couple of hours or something. And then it gets like thrown into a toy box and then he like moves on to another thing. And so I remember telling him when he got laid off, I was like, Josh, if we're going to do this, like you have to go all in and you have to like, YouTube can't be this thing where you're like really excited about it. And then you just kind of like let it go. Like if you're going to do this, like, let's go all in for sure.
And Josh, were you scared that that's what was going to happen? Because I think you and I are very similar in that way. I'm pretty sure I have like ADD, ADHD or something. Like I go very far down the rabbit hole on something and get super excited about it, do all of the things, and then I'm done and I'm on to the next thing. And there was a part of me in the back of my mind that was like, ooh, this could really be just like one of those things. Were you worried at all?
Not really, because I didn't really have any expectations. Like I had just got monetized on YouTube like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks before I got laid off. So I don't even think I got my first YouTube paycheck yet. So I didn't know, I wasn't really planning on YouTube being any significant source of income. I was just like, okay, I think we're making like, I don't know, $1,000 a month with reselling, doing it like 5 hours a week. And when I got laid off, I was like, well, I got plenty of time now. I can go buy more stuff and list some of the stuff I've already bought. And from August, January, you said 6 months. So I think we said we'll give it till January and see what it looked like then. So that was August, September, October, almost 6 months. And January was the first month where like after eBay fees and taxes and buying our own health insurance and everything like that, I was actually bringing home more money than I was at the job. So that's when we knew like, okay, this is actually a real thing that could happen now. And I think my first YouTube check was like $102 or something. And then it went to like 300 and then to like 900. And then the first month I made like, I think January might've been the first month where I made like $1,000. I was like, oh my gosh, $1,000 for making videos on the internet. Like that's our mortgage and then some, so it just kept rolling from there.
Yeah. I mean, we're living in some crazy times that this is what people can do and not just make a living, but like a living, like be very comfortable. Absolutely. My friend, she's a high school counselor and, she'll pull kids in to talk to them about college and careers. And she'll say, what do you want to do when you grow up? Or, and it's always, she said, so many kids say, I want to be a YouTuber. She's like, okay, so like, let's just have a plan B in case too. Like if there's anything else. But that's like the new thing. And it's crazy because when we were kids, YouTube wasn't even a thing yet, you know?
Right.
So it's very,
it's much more of a vibe. One of my favorite YouTubers is the college picker, Eric. I don't know if you know him or not.
Yeah.
But his strategy for YouTube is so, it just makes so much sense. Like all of his videos are tutorials. And he's a reseller. He's actually a pharmacist. He went to pharmacy school and was a pharmacist for like 2 years, and then just hated it. He's like, I'm just going to be a YouTuber and flip stuff. And now he's almost retired. Like he just he got on the bit where he played pickleball a lot, and he was doing that. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing lately? He's like, I'm just playing pickleball, just hanging out. Because his videos on YouTube that he makes, they're all tutorial style, so they keep getting views.
Yeah.
So he'll buy like a Dyson vacuum and it needs a new belt, so he'll figure out how to change the belt and then make a video about it. So his channel is called The College Picker, and it used to be reselling stuff, but now it's all tutorial. Like he has a ton of printer videos and again, just all these like little videos that keep getting views. And he's probably making, I don't know, 50 grand a year, like 40 to 50 grand a year just from the YouTube channel, plus the flipping stuff, plus they're very frugal. So he's probably like 30 years old, and his grandma, I don't want to talk about him too much, but his grandma lived in Florida where the hurricane hit recently. And he's been down in Florida on and off for the last, like 4 or 5 months, helping his grandma fix her house. He bought like 2 or 3 other houses down there, and he's like fixing those up himself. And he's just has the freedom to do stuff like that because he has this YouTube channel that's continually making him 30, 40, 50 grand a year without any extra work.
It's that evergreen content, right?
Yeah.
That like you make the kind of content that people are searching for. It could be a 4-year-old video, and that video is still making you good money. So for sure.
Yep.
And I mean, you know, it's very gracious of you to talk about other very successful YouTubers, but let's be honest, like you are very successful, especially in our space, but even, you know, comparatively to other or niches or whatever, like you're doing really well. I'd love to hear from you and Hayley too, as like a newly, you know, you're editing videos and stuff now too. Like, I'd love to hear from you guys. Just what tips you have for those who maybe this is something that they want to do, because there are a lot of people out there trying to make it on YouTube, and people like the college picker one day just said, I want to make YouTube videos, and it like happened. That's not like the typical story. The typical story is people get started, they can't get the traction, they can't find their subs, and they can't get people to watch their videos. What tips do you have for people who really want to, you know, make their primary income through YouTube?
Do you remember the P's?
This is your test now. This is quiz time.
I know. I didn't know I was being quizzed.
Josh asked me to do that.
The 3 P's, right?
I think it's 3. I think the biggest
pacing. I remember that one.
Pacing is one of them. Yeah, I think the biggest factor in YouTube success is someone's personality.
I thought that would be one of the P's.
No matter what types of videos you're making, the information you're giving or what you're saying is already out there somewhere else on the internet. Somebody has already said everything you're saying. So it's just up to you to say it in a new way that's more engaging or more entertaining or something like that. Like when I started the YouTube channel, I didn't know anything about reselling. I learned everything I know about YouTube and reselling from other people on YouTube. I'm just regurgitating it in a way that people enjoy. So personality, having a good underlying personality, no matter what your videos are about, that's super important. I think most people that are not successful, it's just because they turn on the camera and they just seem nervous and they don't seem like they're having fun. They're just like, hey, you know, it's just have fun with it.
Yeah. And Becky, you said it yourself, like when Josh started, like he was watchable because he's just like having fun and like bringing a lawnmower into the house. And you're like, what is this guy doing? You know, and just like bringing a new spin on that. Yeah.
So personality. The next P would be the pacing of your videos. Some people do like longer videos. Our last video we posted was like 40 minutes long. And people enjoyed it, but it had a pretty bad retention rate, which is like the percentage of video that people watch. It's like 45% or something. But generally, people are going to have an attention span of like 8 to 12 minutes for a YouTube video. So just, you can make a longer video and just experiment with it. But if you make a 50-minute video and people only watch 2 minutes of it, something's wrong, you know? So make them as long as comfortable, but you just want to work on your pacing, make sure it's flowing. You know, if you film and edit your video, I would recommend watching it all the way through. And then if you get bored yourself, you should cut something out, because if you get bored, everybody else is going to get bored, because they don't even know you. They don't care about you when they first start on YouTube. So if we usually try to watch our videos once or twice all the way through and cut out anything that takes away from the overall flow of the video.
It doesn't really need to be there. Whereas like you've already said it in the beginning and then you say it and then like cut that out because you don't need it.
Yeah. Then the third P would be production quality. Just having a decent camera, decent audio. Nowadays, most people's phones are really good. They're much better than anything. You don't need $1,000 cameras, but you can work on that. But it's really more about like, I don't know, just having it to where the quality of your audio and video is not distracting. It doesn't have to be great, but it just needs to be good enough to where people don't notice how bad it is.
I think I'll add too that like we recently did like a YouTube, it's not like a seminar, but kind of like a training type thing. And they talked about what's known as like an avatar, which is like your typical like viewer. And I think when a lot of people start, they think they have to like reach the whole world, when really, depending on your topic, depending on what you're focusing on, you have a very specific person that you're like trying to reach. And so in your head, like if I'm a millennial, but like I'm just thinking of like Gen Z, like they really like shorts now. And so if you're going to target something about Gen Z, or maybe you're all about sneakers or something like that, where the majority of Gen Z would be watching that, you probably need to have really quick like pacing and like production quality and all that stuff. And it has to be like flashy, but like then when you have to think of like
if you're making
boomers or like Gen X,
if you're making knitting videos,
you can make longer videos.
You can make longer videos with less edits. They don't have to. You don't have to be like, "What's up, Katsu? We're gonna get to knitting." Like, because you got grandmas watching you. They don't need that.
So it really depends on like who you're trying to target, and I think it's really important for people to like sit down and be like, even if you have an existing channel, like who is currently watching my video and what would they want to watch.
And YouTube tells you that. You can go to your YouTube analytics. You can see the percentage of gender people that are watching your video, where they're from, their age range. You can kind of tailor your content to meet that. So if you notice that, 80% of people that are watching your videos are over 60-year-old females, then you don't have to worry about fancy cameras and stuff, because they don't care. They're just watching you because they like you or they want whatever information you have. Younger people tend to want a higher quality of production quality, but either way, it doesn't really matter that much.
I mean, that's all very valuable. And I think the biggest takeaway for me from all of that is your success on YouTube is not accidental. It's very well calculated. You've put a lot of research into the kind of content that you create. You study the analytics, you use the information that YouTube gives you, and you're thoughtful about how you create your content. I think a lot of people just kind of throw stuff on the internet and they're like, people aren't watching. And it's like, yeah, because there's people like Josh and Hayley out here who are like putting time into their videos. And if they have to choose one or the other, they're going to choose yours, like 9 times out of 10. So I think that's a really valuable takeaway, is that you gotta put the work in, put the effort in. You gotta outwork to some degree like some of the other people who are out there, and like you said, present the information in a way that's new and fresh and engaging, and suits your personality as well. So that's very helpful. So Hayley, it makes sense as to why. Well, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me as to why you did leave behind your job and you decided to join Josh full time. Can you guys talk a little bit about like what was the decision-making factor that led to that kind of pivot in the road for you guys?
It was not an easy one, I'll say. I'm not the type of person that likes to quit anything. And I felt like I was quitting. I felt like I was like letting people down. But the biggest like turning point, I believe, was when Josh flew to Utah to meet Osborne to Thrift, Tim. And I couldn't go because at the time I only had 2 weeks of PTO and I used it for church camp in Honduras. And like literally every single day of my PTO was those 2 things. So I was like, Josh, you go without me. But I was sad. So I was alone for like 3 days. And I was like, man, it would be so cool to have a little bit more PTO to do things like this. And that was the first thing. That was because I wasn't really like to be honest, I wasn't really interested in the reselling. I wasn't really interested in the YouTube at the time. And I was like, man, to like have that kind of freedom. And when he got back, we just started having conversations about it. Like, what would this look like? And he like eventually said, you know, we're not really using your income. And so I really had to like go through that in my mind. I mean, it took weeks and weeks for me to just like I probably made like 10 pros and cons lists. And he was probably annoyed because he was probably like, just do it. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, this is so hard for me.
We spent some time like calling other people, like other husband and wife reselling teams. Like we talked to Renzi, we talked to Hustle and Hooks. I think we talked to Rally Roots maybe a little bit, just like how they got to where they are. Like, what did you have any hiccups? Like, did anything happen that you weren't prepared for? And they were all like, it's pretty plain and simple. Like, you already have an established business that's making X amount of dollars. You know how much Hayley's making at her job. If she quits, she's going to have an extra 50 hours a week or whatever to put towards this. You know, you have your systems in place to understand how to replace that income. And they were all super supportive, and they were correct. It was not, we've never struggled at all.
And the great thing about our dynamic is when I started, Josh was like, okay, like we have YouTube and we have reselling. I already understood the reselling. I saw him do the shipping. I saw him go to the garage. I went to garage sales and flea markets with you before I quit. And so the easy thing when I first started was I tackled all of the reselling. We did the shopping together with like for the videos and whatnot, but I was doing the shipping and the listing. And at that time, Josh could fully like go all in for the first time on YouTube. So like, instead of having to worry about shipping and all that kind of stuff, like I could do it and he could focus on it. And I think that's really when the channel took off, because we had the husband and wife dynamic for the first time. But then we also like, he could really focus on editing, which helped us a lot.
That's amazing. And it seems like, because Hayley, I don't know that I've ever like gotten to talk to you like this before. So this is amazing for me. I mean, Josh, I like you a lot too, but like I've always, I've been looking forward to meeting Hayley. And it seems like you guys are very similar to my husband and I, except reverse. I feel like I'm always the man in that, like, I'm much more like spontaneous, and I'm very like, it'll work itself out. That's like my husband's least favorite phrase when I say it'll work itself out. He's like, show me in like the, because he needs to see the proof that things are going to be okay. And it seemed like you guys maybe have a little bit of that where Josh is like, it's going to be fine. Like, it makes sense. And you're like, I gotta write the list. Like, I gotta make sure. So it's really interesting to hear how different couples, make this work. So along those lines, how has your involvement in the business evolved since you started? You did primarily reselling, you said, and now we know you've been dabbling with like even the YouTube side of things, but how has it evolved, and what parts of going all in with your husband have you enjoyed the most?
How do I answer that?
I don't know. That's your opinion.
A lot of times on our interviews, I'll just be like, take it away, Josh. I don't know. It's really been a process, and it's taken time. Like, once the business started growing and we could actually afford to pay someone else, like having Kim on the side, like
that was huge.
Yeah. I feel like our journey is quite different than a lot of people, just because we are very YouTube focused at this point. We actually don't really call ourselves resellers anymore. Like, we do the reselling stuff for the videos. But it's about videos, because we legitimately, both of us, enjoy the content and like creating and just like that creative side for sure. I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, I mean, you kind of answered it, because it was you started with the reselling. Like, I got the YouTube focus, and you did the reselling, and they got to a point where you're like, well, I want to do something with the YouTube. And I've always been intimidated with like training other people. Like, that's why it took us so long to like hire Kim and like teach Hayley to edit, because I'm like, I guess I'll train you how to edit.
You have to stop what you're doing. And
but that's like the cost. Like, I mean, any company is going to take time to train an employee, how to do the job. And that's one thing I just couldn't really like wrap my head around. But I mean, it didn't, like, Hayley learned how to ship in like, I don't know, maybe a week, like 4 or 5 days. Like, it's really not first class, priority, flat rate, UPS, FedEx, it's not that hard. And same with the video editing. Like, it seemed a lot more intimidating, I guess. But I'm like, it's just trimming and moving stuff and adding pictures. And the more you do it, you know, Hayley she'll watch a video I did. She's like, how'd you do that? I'm like, oh, I just did this and that. And then she's really good about having ideas. And she's like, oh, how do I do this? If I had to fade out and then like an explosion, I'm like, oh, okay, so we can fade this out. So it's fun because we can both like brainstorm different things now. And it's cool now because if I die, Hayley can keep making YouTube videos.
Oh,
that was a serious concern of mine when we first started, because I'm like, okay, Hayley just quit her job. If I die, she already quit her job and she doesn't know how to make YouTube videos and she can't resell by herself. We don't have any employees yet. So that was like kind of a scary time, but now I can die and it's fun.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that is dark, but also like, I can see how that's a very real concern. Like, what are you?
I'm a realist. Like, I have the ability to take emotion completely out of decision making, which can be good or bad. So I'm like, okay, let's assume the worst and try to prepare for that. And then, because if you prepare for the worst, what could happen?
This is true. Yeah. Yeah. Do you also have like a well-stocked cellar with like, like, are you prepared for zombies? And
all the food expires every 8 years. So every 8 years.
And so you got to
the
canned tomatoes for
That
6
is one
weeks.
of the most disgusting like openings of that show ever. So I would love to know, and I think a lot of people wonder this too, when they think about working full time with their spouse, how do you separate, this is my working partner, you know, this is my colleague versus this is my partner? Or does there have to be a separation? What does that look like?
I guess I'm going to be honest. We're not good at this. I think we do need to be better about it, because there 100% must be a separation between business and personal. Otherwise the business just, it becomes the same thing, and that's not healthy.
Like the item, like we have our warehouse now, and that's been a huge help, because like even we had the old business in the garage, and that was technically separate, but the garage is attached to the house, so it's easy stuff to move. And you know, so when you have like, you have the connection from personal business in our lives and like our physical place. So having the warehouse has helped a lot, because when we're here, we're not really working, and when we're in there, we sometimes are working. But I know sometimes we'll get like motivated separately. Like Hayley will just go out and start shipping and listing stuff randomly. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to stay in here and do nothing. And other times I'll go out and do stuff, or I'll go edit a YouTube video at 10 o'clock at night or whatever. And she's like, why are you working? I'm like, because I feel like working, you know. You just gotta do it when the motivation hits. But I don't know. We don't really have, we just kind of go with the flow, I guess. We don't really have like set rules about.
Well, there has to be rules, not like very legalistic or whatever, but like there's situations where we're like, okay, we're going to do this thing. We're going to go somewhere, and no work. We're not going to talk about anything work related. I don't want to hear the word YouTube come out of your mouth, because we walk Mo's every day, and we'll just be walking in and like, oh, what if we did this for a video? And then we're talking about work, and then we're like, wait, you know, when do we have conversations that are not about work? So often we really do have to set time aside to be like, no reselling, no YouTube, nothing. Like we're not going to talk about work. And that's a must, because otherwise you just get sucked into constant work. And then your relationship is it just feels like a business partnership rather than a business partnership and a relationship. If that makes sense.
I think it's important to have other things you like to do as well. Like I like disc golf, and I've gotten into pickleball lately. And when I'm playing pickleball, I'm not thinking about work at all. And it's hard to find something you can do that can truly take your mind off work when we both enjoy work. So it's not like we, you know, when we were at our old jobs, you clock out, you're done. Like I never thought about my job. Like, why would I think about, I'm not on the clock. Why would I think about my job? You know? But when you own your own business, it's easy to do that because it's fun. Like the more you work and you get better at it, you make more money and you help people, and it's great. But like finding something else to do, honestly, even separately from your partner, is beneficial. I think like I enjoy pickleball because I get to hang out with a bunch of guys and get out of the house and stop thinking about work, and give Hayley some breathing room so she doesn't have to be, you know, next to me all the time. Because I mean, we work together, we live together, that we're together all the time. And people are often like, how do you do that? Like, I would go crazy. And then having separate things to do. Like she'll go and work out in the warehouse, and the other half of the warehouse is the gym. Her workouts are like 2 hours long for some reason. I don't know why she works out for so long, but that's her time that she can go and get away from me and do her thing. And then I have, you know, my stuff. So it's having something to escape from. Escape is a bad word. Having something to, what's the word? Like release. I'm picturing like my body is a gas cylinder, and you have to have something to like twist the knob on the cylinder to let the air out, or else you're going to explode. We're two cylinders near each other. Like
release.
Yeah. I just really wonder where you're going to go with.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm sure every couple functions differently. I'm sure there are some that they could spend every waking moment together and not give it a second thought. Like, it's fine. They don't need their alone time. Maybe they'd even feel lost without being with one another. Some who are like, we need to set some ground rules. I can't look at your face for this long a day. Like, it's just, you know, and it's just important for people to know kind of what they need. And it seems like that's something as this business partnership of your guys's, you know, as it's evolving, that you guys are figuring out as you go. And it's refreshing to hear, like, you know, even Hayley, you say like, I don't know, we're not that good at it yet. Like, and we're still figuring it out. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. And that's great. What would you say are some of your favorite things about getting to work together in this way?
You first.
I don't know how I don't have my answer to that yet. You go first.
I mean, obviously, if you're in a marriage with a person that you love, you should want to be with them all the time. Maybe not 24/7, but most of the time, I love being around Hayley. She's my wife. I've married her. I love everything about her. So it's awesome getting to spend time with her. But it also makes like she went to Honduras this year by herself. So she went with a team. I stayed back. And everybody at our church is like, how you getting along without the wife there this week? I'm like, it's actually been kind of nice, you know, just because it's not like I go to work every day, because normal spouses that work, they actually spend more time with their coworkers than they do their spouse. When you count, like, if you don't count sleeping, I mean, you're working with these people 45, 50 hours a week, and then you come home and spend 2 or 3 hours with your spouse, and you go to bed, and then you go back to work the next day. So it's like, it just makes like times like that, like, special, I guess, like when you can actually separate or whatever. But I would also just look for signs. Like, I don't think we've ever had a point in our life when we're like actually mad at each other. Like, I just get away from me right now. Just if it gets to that point, if you're trying to work with your spouse and it's constant daily tension like that, it might not be for you. Then that's something to realize before your spouse quits her job to work with you full time. You got to figure that out.
I think it happens with people who have very similar like personality types too, where you kind of get like what are like the hot buttons or what you know what I'm talking about, like you pushing buttons and like, you know how to push each other's buttons or whatever. That can definitely like cause issues. But I feel like our personalities are so different, and I think like my strengths help him and my weaknesses, like his strengths help me, vice versa.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think too, if people are too similar, like they kind of want to do things almost the same way, but then there's like little differences and it like irks the other person. But when you're so different, everyone's kind of approaching any situation with such different perspectives. And it's always like, oh, I'd never even thought about it like that. And yeah, it's just, it keeps things fresh. So that's good that you are not the same people, you know, trying to do this together. I have one kind of boring question for you, and then one final just kind of fun question. But, you know, you had talked a little bit about the really dark side of things, like what happens if I die, but just really thinking long term of like, you know, what's the sustainability of this? And there's a lot of other things that I think people have to think about when they decide to go into business together, and that's their only income, right? You don't have a salary, you don't have a retirement fund or health insurance from an employer. What are some things that resellers or even just entrepreneurs in general who want to create a business for their own family that they're going to do on their own? what are some things that people need to think about? What were things that you guys realized, oh, shoot, like we got to, you know, do X, Y, and Z in order to make sure that we're set for life? Can you speak to some of that?
I mean, you got to think about the dark stuff. I mean, we're all going to die eventually. You know, it might be tomorrow, it might be 90 years from now. I don't know. So just like preparing for that, like, I mean, there was at the time I was like, okay, if I died, what would Hayley do? She doesn't have a job. We have a YouTube channel, but she doesn't know how to edit. So I'm like, she would just have to resell. Can she make enough money? She doesn't really know how to resell yet. You know, that was the month or two when she was just getting used to it. So I don't know, like having things in place. I mean, we both have life insurance on each other. We we haven't really, we have Roth IRAs, but we're in like a weird financial, like we bought the house as an investment. And that was like, we had the choice to either like start our solo 401ks this year or buy the house. I'm like, oh, let's buy the house. So we can't make videos about 401k, you know, money's in there, but we can make videos about the house. So I think long-term, the house will probably be a little bit more profitable than that. And then we can just start our 401ks this year. I mean, as we get older, you just have to be honest with yourself. Like, do you have a history? Does your family have a history with like dying early or having certain types of diseases or something? And like,
this is very dark. I'm the emotional one. I was thinking a totally different way. I was just thinking like, you got to not put all your eggs in one basket. Like a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm an eBay seller, but what happens if your eBay account goes down? Like, just having multiple streams of income, I think is 100% necessary for everybody. Because we always say like YouTube is kind of our primary source of income, but at least right now. But like if that were to go down, we could both make it full-time reselling. And so like we know that in our head, like there's like an escape hatch if something doesn't work out. Would you like to take it somewhere dark again? Would you like to?
I'm just, like I said earlier, I can take emotion completely out of decision making.
Good. So like, it is good. You're right.
So like life insurance is super important. Retirement is super important. You know, I see a lot of resellers, I think I don't want to say a lot. In my experience, a lot of part-time resellers aren't super healthy people. Not saying I'm a super healthy person.
1,000%.
But like most resellers that I see, especially the men, I think, either come from unhealthy families or like, you know, reselling is very sedentary. So like, just watch that. Like I joined a kickboxing gym and play pickleball now. So like trying to be active and you have some forethought into the future, like longevity, but life insurance, health insurance, honestly, as much insurance as you can afford. Long-term care insurance is super, super cool to have. That's like covers like nursing homes. When I used to do financial coaching, and there was several occasions where people would save money their whole lives. You know, they'd be 60, 70 years old and they'd have $2 million saved up. But then their husband would go into a nursing home, or husband's, maybe it was the wife most of the time, but she would go into a nursing home and not die. She would just stay in the nursing home for 10 years, which is cool. Like, it's great that she didn't die, but there goes your $2 million. Yeah. Nursing homes are $70,000, $80,000 a year. You know, so just like so many people just, they block it out. They don't want to prepare for anything. They're just like, I'm going to live my life right now because I might die tomorrow. You might, but statistically speaking, if you haven't died yet, you're probably going to make it to like 70, 80 years old. So you got to plan for stuff like that, and diversifying your income. Like Hayley said, that's super important. You know, cross posting, using List Perfectly. Shout out List Perfectly, sponsor of today's show. Not really. You just have it because eBay, it's like Amazon. People that sell on Amazon and only sell on Amazon are the scariest ones to me, because Amazon does not care about you as a person at all. They will, like, I had a friend of mine on Instagram. She only sold like discontinued beauty stuff on Amazon, and she was doing great. And she and her husband, like, they lived in an RV, so they traveled all over the country doing it. And her account got flagged for drop shipping or something because she was shipping from different post offices. And they totally shut her account down. I mean, she was making tens of thousands of dollars a month doing this, and they shut it down. So now she's trying to do eBay, but I'm like, you know, build something on the side. Like, don't put all your eggs in YouTube. Don't do only eBay. Don't do only Amazon. You got to do something else.
Yeah. And I think that's so wise, especially for those with like an entrepreneurial spirit, because if you're going to work a typical 9 to 5 job and you've got your salary and they're going to take care of retirement or health, health insurance and all that kind of stuff, you don't need to diversify. You just need to put food on the table, pay your mortgage. You just want to be comfortable. You don't need to diversify. You just work that job till, you get to retire. But if you really want to go all in on yourself, like you said, taking emotion out of the equation and really thinking through what happens if I die, what happens, which is a grim way to think, but perhaps the best way for us to get to the heart of like what is necessary right now,
Yeah.
And I do think that a lot of, especially part-time resellers or just people who want to get into entrepreneurship or YouTube, they really romanticize it. And with that comes a lack of thinking logistically through some of these, more boring things, but like this is how we live day to day and like get through life. So I mean, lots of wisdom there. All right, final question. And thank you guys so much for your time. But what is next for the tornadoes? Do you even know? Like, do you even know what's on the horizon? Because it looks like you guys just keep doing this, but
yeah, I think the house, like it's the $20 flip house. If you guys don't know, we bought the house for cash, used our 401k money. We've been saving up money for a long time, for a couple of years, waiting for something fun to invest in. I was like, what if we bought a house? We don't know how to flip a house, but like that kind of plays off the relatability of YouTube. Like it's a fairly cheap house, I think $155,000. I don't know if you guys have any houses for $155,000 up in Illinois.
Oh, for even less. Like, yeah. If you know where to look.
It's not like that's not like relatability has been big for us on YouTube. It's like we want to do cool things, but not so cool that people are like, they're crazy. We bought a $300,000 worth of mystery pallets. And like that nobody can relate to that because people don't have $300,000. But $155,000 house. We started with $20. And we're going to buy a resell and flip the profits into enough money to renovate the whole house. So we're going to take our time with that because honestly, the longer we take, the more videos we can make and the more money we can make from the videos. So we did the demo and now we're doing the plumbing, and that's maybe we'll be done next week. I don't know. We'll see.
Full-time reselling is not necessarily for everybody, but like you can like we're going to do like videos in the future where it's like, yeah, let's go to the Goodwill bins and find like a specific something for the house and like how it's so easy as a side hustle. Like if your car breaks down, like you can do this to make the couple of extra $100 or something. So like just coming up with a different way to like style reselling, and that it's possible to just like do it as a fun side thing in order to like do something fun in your life, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that has been our focus shift. Instead of like full-time resellers, now we're like part-time resellers that make YouTube videos about it.
Yeah.
Because I think part-time reselling is kind of more relatable than full-time reselling. Like there's people that wanted to be full-time, but I think for 99% of people, doing reselling on the side is the way to go because it gives you some diversification if you have a full-time job. Because like I started the YouTube channel and reselling almost a year before I got laid off. I had that brewing on the side, building it up where I had, I don't know, like 300 or 400 listings and was making $800, $1,000 a month when I got laid off. If I hadn't been doing that on the side and just started fresh, I would have struggled a lot more.
Sorry, it sounded like you said you were making $800,000 a month.
$800 to $1,000.
It kind of sounded like that.
I just wanted to make
$800,000 5 hours a week.
People, you need to understand that $800,000 a month is not typical for part-time resellers. So just making sure that, and I would not be surprised if like this journey takes you guys to like HGTV and you guys are like the next, like, that's what I'm saying. Like you just kind of like open yourself up to like, let life happen and you don't know where you're going to go, And I think that's what's really exciting about, having watched you just grow and evolve throughout the years, Josh, has been, wow, like, look at what he's doing now. And now he's doing this. And it's just really cool. And it's really exciting. And I think it's because, you don't have your feet firmly planted in like, it has to be this way. You're very open to like, well, let's just see, like, let's just buy the house instead of doing the 401k. Like, let's just see what happens. And I think there's,
I think that's my favorite part about YouTube is that it gives us the freedom to try things like that. Because if it wasn't for the ability to make YouTube videos, we wouldn't have bought the house.
No,
like,
we wouldn't have.
But, you know, but it's been the freedom that has come along, that's come along with like being self-employed and making our own hours alongside the financial blessings that have come along with this business have allowed us to, you know, we went to Iceland last week and we bought this house and we're able to do all this stuff without worrying about paying for anything. You know, we've got 3 houses now and people are like, oh, what are you going to do with 3 houses? How are you going to pay for that? I'm like, they're all like, one was cash, the other 2 on automatic draft. We don't worry about it because we have found this business. We found a way to work and help people and make videos that people find entertaining or whatever. And it just, it works. So I don't know what we'll be doing in 20 years, but for right now, we're going to keep doing this.
And that's good that you don't know, because it means you're opening it up for just whatever is supposed to happen.
Whatever comes.
Yeah. And that's the exciting part of all this, like you said. So, well, you guys are wonderful people. I mean, it's just been so fun watching from the sidelines as you've just exploded this thing and, you know, are making an amazing living doing it. So I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you guys. And I will need your Iceland itinerary at some point because I really want to go. I need to know like what things are a yay, what things are a nay. I'm very insanely jealous. And we'll end on that note. But you guys are amazing. Thank you for being here. And
thanks so much for having us.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess I should like tell people where they can find you. Although like if they don't know, I don't understand like what is wrong with them. But maybe just very quickly shout out like how can they see more of you?
Take it away. Hayley Tornado.
No, well, Harry Tornado on YouTube, Hayry. We have to preface that. Although if you type it in Harry, I think it still comes up either way. Harry Tornado on Instagram and Hayley_Tornado for my Instagram because someone has Hayley Tornado, like the nerve of them.
Hayley. Nobody ever spells it right.
But do you know what? Like if someone wanted such a jump start on their YouTube channel, they just need to do Harry Tornado, Harry Tornado. Like they would get so many hits. Like as people are saying, okay, don't anybody do that. That's messed up. But all right, that is all of your time that I will take. But you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Please go make sure that you follow them on Instagram, subscribe to their YouTube channel. They're doing really fun things. It's very diverse, you know, like they were sharing as far as the kind of content that they create and put out there. And if you're lucky enough, you might even see one that Hayley edited. Hayley, do you put in there that you edited the videos that you edited?
No, I don't. There was one that I was like, I had like a little thing. I was like, editing Hayley here. I added this. Like there was like one little scene, like clip of it, but not for everyone.
I'm gonna see if I can like guess. The better ones are Hayley. No,
they really are.
I do put a lot of like B-roll. So if you see like a lot of like movie clips or like office references or something, it's probably me because I'm just like that's how I do my humor is like piggybacking on other people's humor because I'm actually not funny.
Oh no, I don't think so.
She's
but also they do a good job over on The Office, so why not steal from them whenever possible?
Of course, yes,
for sure. Yeah. All right, well, you guys are amazing. This is our 8th time saying bye, so bye for real. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.